Okay, I'm gonna show you guys a cold start on this guy. It's totally cold. It's about 47 degrees in here, and it's rainy outside here in the wonderful Pacific Northwest. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how it idles when it's cold. Pull the choke. Always helps when the door is shut. So that's with the choke on, and it's right around like 1,000, maybe 1,100, and it's still a little bit obviously too cold for the choke to be pulled off. I like to give it about a minute. Some guys think you're going to foul your plugs if you go longer than a minute. I tend to agree, but plugs are cheap. And so that's with my foot off of the accelerator. And it's idling nicely right at 1,000. Turn off the choke, and then I'll keep my foot on the gas pedal. That way I'm keeping it running, but the choke is now completely off. And it's right at 1,000 again. I'm gonna take my foot off the gas. And now it's sitting right around 800 RPMs. And this is fully cold on a rainy day. Okay, I'm gonna do a walk around on this 1964 1800S. And we'll start here at the front. The things I look for in these old cars are the body seams. Are the seams still underneath each headlight and turn signal? And this one has it on this side. And this one has it on this side as well. And aftermarket fog lights that are mounted here, they do work. I'll turn them on for you in a second. The chrome on the headlight bezels, pretty much the chrome all the way around, we cleaned, we didn't buff necessarily. So, if you look closely, you can see a little bit of, some watermarks here and there. There's going to be a little ding in the grill right here. It just looks like where this bumper got pushed in on the very bottom. And it's a pretty common issue, obviously, because these bull horns stick up. It's the first thing to go in, hits the grill. They do sell aftermarket grills for these guys at a company called VP Auto. Let's see here. The A-Crate grill though is in great shape. Bumper unit's great. The seal all the way around the surround is nice. It's not cracked. Going down the side spears are all in good shape. They're not in perfect shape. You're running your finger, there's a little dimple there, a little dimple here. It's all the way smooth here, and it's all the way smooth along this back edge here, of course. Usually they don't get dings on this guy. The chrome around the car is in good shape. There's no heavy rust pitting anywhere on the chrome except for one little spot on the rear bumper. And it's going to be right here. You can see these 10 or 12 little spots. I'm going to try to get those out before this car sells. They might just buff out. But just wanted you to be aware of that. Going down the fender here, the fender's in great shape. No dings or dents. We're going to have some bubbling on this rocker panel, right to the left of the seam. There's a little patch right here. There's probably like 6 little bubbles here, as well as like 2 or 3 back here. And then this is the door ding right here. And whoever buys this car is either gonna fix the dent and spray the door, or not fix the dent and just drive it as is, or paint the whole car and do it right. So something kind of cool about this car is it has a circular Lucas mirror on it. It's not the square Volvo ones, which this is actually period era correct. There is going to be a little chip here in the windshield. This chrome all the way around is good. Chrome around the door is good. This rear quarter is actually in tremendous shape. Usually there's some dings or dents along the wheel well, and this one's great. Back here is nice and smooth. The rear also has both stock seams underneath the rear taillights, which is always good to see because it means that it survived the 1990s body shop fill in the seams world movement. So that's still there. This chrome's really good. I mean, there's some minor pitting in this tailgate license plate light and a few on this one here, but overall they're in pretty dang good shape. The trunk is amazingly clean. I like it. It's got the stock jack on the wrong side. That's because there was an aftermarket electric antenna put over here, which is hard to see. Has the spare tire, which is beautiful. Maybe one of the nicest spare tires I've ever seen in my life. And then it has a toolkit, cardboard all the way around. And then this sweet jack. There you go. Jack extension for using the jack. These are often lost in translation. I'm going to go do the engine bay, and then I'll flip to the right side. The engine bay is clean, but not totally detailed. We didn't paint anything. We cleaned it. We vacuumed it. I washed it. I did not pressure wash it. We degreased the engine a bit. There is no leaking of oil from this motor or transmission. I am surprised. A lot of these old Volvos will have weepy seals, but this one, no leaks anywhere. Anyway, so the brake booster is still attached. I don't know if it's boosting much, but it's still attached and working. Fluid doesn't leak. These are both old master cylinders. They work, but I don't know for how long. So if you're going to daily drive this thing, those two will probably want to be replaced, as well as the slave. It's working great. Obviously, we wouldn't sell it if it wasn't working, but they're original Girling master cylinders, which are pretty awesome. Usually they're aftermarket replacements. But anyway, we rebuilt the carburetors, tuned it, new plugs, obviously new new oil, sorry, and then a new fan belt. Checked the antifreeze, topped it off. It had antifreeze. There's no leaks in that. Overall, it's a very nice, presentable, original engine bay. To my knowledge, it hasn't been ever taken apart, stripped apart, and painted. This is very close. I think this is the original red of the car. I don't think it's ever been sprayed. This paint job has been resprayed probably in the late, somewhere in the 80s. But overall, it's really cool to see a car like this, especially with the stock old school fuel pump with the glass bowl on top. It's always cool to see that. What else? There's no crazy rust in the battery box area, which is always nice to see as well. There's also not a ton of bending on these hinges. These hinges will seize up, and then when you open up your hood, it'll bend your inner hood louvers, and it'll just make a mess of that. And those are really clean and straight. As obviously you can tell, the engine has not been painted. The paint is old. The compression is all 149 to 153 in all four. Carburetors rebuilt, new jets, new gaskets, balanced. What else on those guys? Oh, then we Refilled them with oil on the top of the float bowls. That's about it on the engine bay. Okay, so going down the right side of the car here, chrome is great. Some watermarks, I can polish those guys out. The front bumper here, nice and clean and straight. This side of the chrome has a little ding right here, and that's going to be it for that side. Obviously, these are not the original hubcaps. These look to be aftermarket hubcaps. They sound thinner. The other ones, the stock ones, are going to be thicker, and they're like a brass with a chrome plating on it. And those look too nice. Anyway, some of the paint, it's old. There's like little tiny bubbles in the paint in various spots. There's no flaky rust paint like it's flaking off anywhere on the car. There's another bubble here and a couple right here. But this whole panel is clean, straight. This door is perfect. The seams are here on the rockers. The inner rockers, totally perfect. And then the rear is perfect. There's no bubbles on this side. This chrome, the door chrome here, is great. No dings or dents. As well as this chrome back here is good. The rear quarter has a little crack right here in the paint. It's really hard to see. Just right there's a little crack. And then back here underneath, it's muddy on my road. There's a little bubble here and a bubble here. But everything else is great on the body. No major dings or dents except for the little one on the door. And there's no heavy paint peeling. There is checking in various spots and scratches. There's like a little scratch there. There's some bubbling in the paint. It's not a blister, but it's just an old paint job when you get right up on it. But from 5-10 feet, it looks really nice. So the interior is definitely an original interior. Door panels, this side is perfect. This seat here, the passenger seat, has been sewn. There's a little seam here and a seam here. The dashboard does have some cracks in it. There's a crack over there on that side. The carpet is old. Old carpet. I've never seen a carpet like this before where there's like a chrome snap on top. Usually the snaps are underneath. At the end of the day, it's just cool to see a car like this that hasn't been torn apart in aftermarket this, aftermarket that. It's missing the clock, has aftermarket radio. The inner lights don't work. I have yet to pull the covers. I'll pull the covers and see if the bulbs are out and check that here in a second. But overdrive works, fan works, wipers work, turn signals work. Let's see here. Gas gauge works, the oil pressure works, tach works great, speedometers, it works, but it's not totally accurate. Headliner is in great shape. Seats flip down. This upholstery's in pretty dang good shape. There is a little tiny tear on the top here, right there. And obviously it's aftermarket speakers. Doors shut nice and tight, and the lights work. Going in the driver's side here, you know, the steering wheel is crack free. There is not a crack on this guy. Very good shape. There's a few little cracks on the logo, but that's about it. There is an aftermarket flasher switch. So somebody tried to rig it up. At one point it probably did work, but it doesn't work now. The switch for the fog lights is actually on the dash, right next to the headlights. And then obviously the headlights work. And then the overdrive switch on the early 1800s was actually on the dashboard, which is right here. And a lot of times people think that this is the overdrive switch, but it's not. That's the city horn. The early 1800s came with a city horn and a highway horn. And then the overdrive switch is here. So when you're in fourth, you know, I always depress the clutch and then hit the overdrive and then ease off the clutch. The manual says not to because it works off a vacuum. There's probably a few different opinions, but I tend to go that route. And then the gauges are cracked just slightly in the lenses, on the plastic lenses. Yeah, overdrive light is going to be right there, and it's kind of a bluish purple. Some of them were red. Underneath, high beam works great, and the trunk latch is right down there. And then on this side, the door panel has seen better days. Obviously, this is where your left arm rests when you're driving. And there's a crack here and a crack here. And these are the originals. They're not covers. They're not plastic covers. In the late 80s, early 90s, you could buy aftermarket door handles, and this is the original one. Just really cool. It's really cool to see a car like this. It's old and still in one piece, so to speak. You know, the seats, you know, you feel like you're sitting on the floor of the car. You know, they're old, they're tired, but man, they're in great shape for what it is. Seat belts still rest up on the corner posts here. Seat belts are in tremendous shape. Springs work good. And then this door closes nicely. So yeah, if you have any questions or things you want to see up close, feel free and send me a message. And I would love to send you more details on whatever you may inquire upon. Thanks so much and happy bidding.